the bloody goalkeeper.
You think you just play some football and everything's forgiven?
A true story of reconciliation, redemption, love, hatred and forgiveness.
I'd rather have danced with you than stood on the battlefield.
Wembley Stadium and a flutter of excitement from tens of thousands.
As a sportsman, Bert Trautmann's story was well documented.
Trautmann's hurt.
The German goalkeeper who broke his neck in the 1956 Cup final for Manchester City, but heroically played on.
The game's held up, but Trautmann's determined to carry on.
But it was the journey to get there that makes his story so remarkable. As his youngest son, Mark, remembers, Trautmann was indoctrinated into the Hitler Youth and won the Iron Cross for bravery.
He never spoke about any great depth. He spoke about the times that he had to dive into a cesspit when he was dive bombed by Russian planes, being captured by the Russians and escaped. And then I believe also he was captured by the Americans and let go.
Bert then met his wife Margaret while he was a prisoner of war in Lancashire. Her father Jack recognised his talent for football.
He's not bad, is he?
But he knew what was coming, a campaign of post-war hate and hostility.
We know what your sword did, Mr. Trautmann.
It's not long after the war, so you can understand people, people that were grieving, It's not that easy to forgive when you've lost a son or a father or anything like that. So right enough, in a way, he got death threats and hate mail and stuff like that, And he must have been a terribly strong character to cope with all this, and he did do.
I need to know who we're married.
Not only must have my father faced the kind of animosity from the British people, for the family to take him in, and for my mother to marry a German prisoner of war so close after the war, they must have faced not so much hatred, but animosity.
So do you think your dad's going to be remembered as a famous sportsman or a great humanist?
I'd like for people to think of him as both. I think he was a very compassionate person.
It's a story about reconciliation, yeah. It's a story about what does it mean when suddenly the enemy, what you always have in mind, stands in front of you and does not look like a monster.
Bert died 6 years ago, and he leaves behind one of the most extraordinary life stories. Chris Scudder, 5 News.